It's the morning after Halloween and I'm feeling kinda messed up. It's the morning after Halloween and I'm still a little bit drunk. Doing shots with the drag queens and eating steak and foie gras. Something, 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 metal meltdown, Halloween. I would like to go back to bed.
Good morning, metalheads of the internet. How are you? That's great. Shut up for a minute. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about a brand new studio album from Tribulation entitled Sub Rosa in Æternum. This is the 6th full-length studio album from this Swedish heavy and extreme metal crew. They've been kicking around for just slightly under 20 years now at this point, and they've gone through a couple of different phases and iterations. When they first hit the scene back in the mid-2000s, when they first put out their first debut back in 2009, they were more of a ravenous black and death metal band of sorts, and over the course of the last decade, they've incorporated more and more influences from like death rock, gothic rock, occult rock, and kind of fused that with more melodic and like traditional black metal elements. But generally speaking, I feel as if I can safely describe their music as something made by a coven of vampires. Like, it's dark and very atmospheric, very alluring, very mesmerizing, romantic even in a way on especially some of the last couple of records, but also bloodthirsty, brutal. Their music is consistently very dark and atmospheric, alluring and mesmerizing and bloodthirsty even on these more recent, softer releases, as some would say. I still get that dread and that menace and that really ominous, spooky feeling and vibe, like there's a creature in the night stalking me, watching me, waiting for his moment to strike, and for that reason I had no issue name-dropping Tribulation as an honorable mention of sorts in our Most Disturbing Metal Bands collab video with Thralls of Metal earlier in the week. I've enjoyed pretty much everything that Tribulation have put out thus far, but I was a big fan of their previous album, 2021's Where the Gloom Becomes sound in particular. It was bigger, it was bolder, it was brighter with stronger, more memorable hooks and melodies. It was a little bit more theatrical and dramatic as well. It still felt very cold and emotive with a lot of lush soundscapes, a lot of doom, a lot of gloom, and simultaneous to all of this, it maintained a lot of those like dark, heavy, evil, ritualistic black metal tones and compositional ideas that I love from some of their earlier records. And as such, I had no reason not to be excited for Sub Rosa in Æternum, and I am happy to confirm that if you, like me, were a big fan of Where the Gloom Becomes sound back in 2021, guess what? You're going to be a big fan of this record right now in 2024, and possibly even beyond. Honestly, the album functions and feels like a direct sequel to Where the Gloom Becomes sound, picking up pretty much exactly where that album left off in 2021, maintaining a lot of those same key ingredients and components, those same sounds and vibes and atmospheres and themes, but also continuing to elevate them and refine them just a little bit more, indulging in a little bit more gothic opulence and melodrama here and there, bringing in some new dynamics and vocal tactics and maneuvers. For example, the album's opening number, The Unrelenting Choir, is a slow-burning goth metal spectacle with a variety of eerie and simplistic strings and synths and melodic guitars and psychedelic wailing tones and ominous Peter Steele-esque moaning vocals all kind of working in unison to create something with a very chilly breeze and sinister underbite to it. A very ominous start to the record for sure. All the way through this track, I feel as if I'm slowly and carefully traversing the main hall of Dracula's castle. From there, we transition quite nicely into Tainted Skies, which definitely has a little bit more pomp and enthusiasm and pep in its step. It even rocks some bassy licks and a few beats and grooves that wouldn't be out of place on a classic goth rock or post-punk record, plus also some guitar pyrotechnics, particularly in that spirited and sizzling solo that brings to mind classic hard rock and heavy metal. But don't let that fool you, this is still filled with a variety of dark textures and ideas. You've got some creepy chimes popping up here and there, some more subtle strings and synths, and some backing vocals that make it sound as if you're listening to ghosts kind of fly through the air, plus also those monstrous cackling guttural vocals. Like singer Johannes Andersson consistently sounds like a sick creature yearning and foaming at the mouth, Great vocal performance, not just here, but across the board while we're on the topic. Love seeing those Peter Steele-esque gothic cleans come back into play. A nice dynamic on the classic Beauty and the Beast vocal dynamic, where I guess in this scenario, Beauty is also kind of a beast in a way. It's like the beast and the freaky mutated demon beast. Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be a fucked up Disney movie. Then there's Drink the Love of God, which drapes some full-blown gothic melodrama over some more fast-paced but moody heavy metal. There's a lot of energy and momentum to this, but still a lot of atmosphere and dread. It's almost reminiscent of something I might get from Unto Others. Saturn Coming Down is a really cool song as well, very lush and expressive. Really loving the contrast here between these darker, more evil, more ritualistic black metal sections and these like lighter, more melodic, more romantic even drawls and verses with like warbled, mature, yearning, anguished, clean vocals and some brighter textures. It almost kind of feels like a hymn song at a certain point, but like sandwiched into a Tribulation song. The use of strummed acoustic guitars in this track is great as well. It does a good job at adding some rustic energy and some tension right away into some specific parts. Gotta say though, my favorite cuts on the record are the ones where Tribulation completely toss out their own playbook and say, fuck it. We're not doing Where the Gloom Becomes Sound Part 2. Fuck you. We're doing our own thing. We're gonna flex our muscles and strut our stuff and let our freak flag fly. For instance, I don't know for sure if progressive goth rock is really a thing, but if it isn't, it now might be because of the song Hungry Waters. I mean, yeah, sure, okay, granted, it starts off fairly simple with some stark and bare bones goth rock, but it doesn't take long for things to get a little bit weirder, a little bit more fantastical, for some more intricate displays and arrangements to be introduced into the mix. And then there's Reaping Song, which, I don't know, call me crazy if you like, I don't care, but to me, this sounds like a weird mix of influences and tones and ideas from like The Doors and Blue Oyster Cult and Steve Miller and maybe even a little bit of Nick Cave thrown into the mix. Like, it's dark and bitter and poetic, and it has these moodier, more bluesy kind of draws, but it also has these dual synthesizer leads and some spirited classic rock solos and riffs here and there. I will concede there are a few songs that aren't as strong, some more atypical kind of Tribulation gothic black metal numbers that are still entertaining, but in comparison to the cuts we've talked about, do fall short. That said, I would still honestly give this a very strong 4 to 5. I really enjoyed it. I was really impressed by it. I look forward to picking it up on vinyl and returning to it in the future. I'm not entirely sure how metalheads are going to respond to this, but I've got a real funny feeling that this could end up being a more divisive and controversial album for the band because it does use more clean vocals, because it does have heavier goth influence, because it is more melodic and therefore could be perceived as being more mainstream, therefore could be perceived as, you know, Tribulation selling out or, you know, getting soft or whatever. And to anyone potentially hypothetically making those arguments, I mean, you're entitled to listen to whatever the hell you want. You're entitled to complain if you want to. But, I mean, the way I see it, this is the natural and logical evolution of everything Tribulation have done, not just from, you know, Where the Gloom Becomes Sound, but even from Children of the Night back in 2015. Like, this makes sense to me, at least. I think it's good. I think that more open-minded rock and metal listeners are going to have fun with this. I think this could make a great gateway into darker styles of music, actually, too, for somebody who is maybe a little scared by the more hyper, extreme, and volatile stuff, you know? Like, you could listen to this and go, like, I do want to check out more goth rock. I do want to check out more black metal or whatever. And, you know, same way vice versa. Maybe you're into more goth rock and you want to get into more metal. This could make a solid gateway that way too. However people respond, ultimately, I don't care. I liked it. That's what matters to me. I hope you like it, but hey, c'est la vie. It is what it is. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thanks for watching, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. You know the drill. Subscribe, other videos. I'm gonna make an omelet. I'm gonna drink a lot of water. And then maybe have like a 45-minute shower. Yeah.